Yeah, we back, man, and we rewinding the tape going back all the way to the 1900s, and we gonna give y'all some things to remember. You know what I mean? But right now we're gonna recall on it. But yeah, man, this easy bake thing here. You remember these things? They don't make stuff like they used to. But check it out.
Wasn't high tech. It used a simple light bulb to cook the treats. Kids would mix packets of batter, slide the mini pan into the oven, and wait impatiently as the little bulb did its job. Sure, the results often tasted a bit unique, but the joy of cooking your own dessert made every bite worth it. 2. Feathered hair. Farrah Fawcett's feathered hair became the gold standard for style in the 1970s. Whether you were at school, work, or out on the town, everyone tried to achieve those perfect, soft waves that flipped outward just right. Achieving the look often required hours with a blow dryer, a round brush, and cans of hairspray. For boys, this style also found its way into popularity. Longer hair with subtle feathering was a staple of the era.
Killing
3.
me.
Clackers.
Yeah, you remember the click clacks? That's the thing with the little with the string with the balls in the middle. Watch, they clack together. We want y'all to leave it in the comment box if y'all familiar with some of this stuff. If we got any dinosaurs in
Clackers were
there.
a deceptively simple toy. 2 acrylic
They
balls
banned them,
attached to
though.
a string that you swung up and down to make them smack together. The faster you swung, the louder the clacking sound, and the greater the risk of bruised hands or worse. Clackers were thrilling, but border.
Oh, your mama whoop your ass. Oh yeah, and they got them in the boarding school. Then they made them like that with the. I think it got some little handle on it like that though. And that was not the newer click clack. That was coming like the late '70s, I guess.
Line dangerous, leading to bans in some places. Still, for kids in the 70s, they were a rite of passage, testing both patience and coordination. 4. Schoolhouse Rock. Who knew learning could be so catchy? Schoolhouse Rock aired between Saturday morning cartoons and taught kids everything from grammar, conjunction junction, what's your function, to math. 3 is a magic number. The animated shorts were so engaging that kids often didn't realize they were learning. Those catchy tunes stuck in your head long after the TV was off. Decades later, their educational magic remains unforgettable.
3, 6, and 9.
5. Bell-bottom jeans. Bell-bottoms weren't just pants, they were a statement.
Now, one thing about this stuff, it might be a statement, they might have been in style once upon a Christmas, but just because
Flared leg.
they was in style, don't mean it was a style for everybody. Just like they got these skinny jeans, and they skinny just like them, but they bell bottom, so they'll probably go back to that. Because at first they were just wearing them skinny jeans like that, like what's his name, Leave It to Beaver, Eddie Haskell, and them, and then they bailed out at the bottom. But yeah, man, just because it was a style don't mean it was in for everybody. Know that.
That started narrow at the knee and exploded into a dramatic sweep. These jeans were everywhere in the 1970s. Whether paired with platform shoes, tie-dye shirts, or even fringed vests, bell-bottoms symbolized individuality and rebellion. By the end of the decade,
bell bottom. Look at the bell bottom. They had the blue jeans with the long hair. You know, the tight shirts on. They're starting to come back. They just ain't the pants are just as tight. You know what I mean? And then the long hair. Everybody long hair. Yeah. So yeah.
It had become so iconic that they still instantly scream 1970s in any photos. 6. The Electric Company. Before cable TV brought educational programming to every household, the Electric Company ruled the airwaves. Aimed at slightly older kids than Sesame Street, this PBS show featured...
You see him back there? That's young Bill Cosby in the back there, man. You know what I'm saying? He was on Electric Company. And, you know, they'll probably go into his stuff. But, yeah, man, look at the afros and look at the butterfly collars and the colorful clothes and stuff. And the real talented gentleman up in the front with the ladies.
Catchy songs, fun skits, and guest stars. A young Morgan Freeman, anyone. Its playful approach to teaching reading and grammar made it a hit with both kids and parents. And its funky 1970s aesthetic made learning feel fresh and cool. 7. CB radios. Before cell phones and the internet, CB, Citizens Band radios, were a way to communicate, especially on the road. Thanks to movies like Smokey and the Bandit, CB radios became a cultural phenomenon, with everyone adopting their own handle, nickname. Phrases like 10 and 4, good buddy, and breaker, breaker entered the lexicon. Kids loved pretending to be truckers, and even families would tune in just for fun. 8. Trapper Keepers.
Won't fall out. And I've got a tracker folder for each subject. That's pretty neat.
The Trapper Keeper was the holy grail of school supplies. With its bold, colorful designs, Velcro closure, and pockets to organize everything, it made kids feel like they had their lives together. Though it became more iconic in the 1980s, its debut in the late 70s set the stage for decades of academic organization. Owning one wasn't just practical, it was a status symbol. 9. Pet Rocks. In a world without smartphones or TikTok, the idea of a pet rock somehow took off. Marketed as the perfect low-maintenance pet, each rock came in a small cardboard box with breathing holes and instructions for care. While it started as a tongue-in-cheek gift,
Now, if you got that for Christmas, if you believed in Christmas, and your parents, whoever, somebody gave you a gift that was a rock, would you be thankful? Would you be happy? Would you be curious, or would you just take it and play with it? But that's up to y'all, man. But this is about the dumbest thing I've seen. I never even seen one of them before. Never even heard of it. And whoever made that probably made a lot of money off that rock. You see how easy it is to create something? A pet rock. Dig that.
praise swept the nation in 1975. It's a reminder of how something as simple and silly as a rock could become a cultural phenomenon in the 1970s. 10. The Fisher-Price Chatter Telephone.
You remember that?
This iconic toy introduced countless toddlers to the idea of talking on the phone. With its smiling face, spinning rotary dial, and wheels for pulling it around, the Chatter Telephone was a staple of 1970s childhoods. Even though it didn't actually work, kids loved pretending to make important calls. Decades later, its cheerful design remains one of Fisher-Price's most beloved creations. 11.
A couple of months ago, I decided.
Yeah, 1,000 partners on that, man. We got the rotary telephone with the 1 through 9. You know what I mean? And the alphabets. You know, numbers are letters and letters are numbers.
If you wanted to call someone in the 1970s, you needed patience and a rotary telephone. Each number had to be dialed by turning the wheel and waiting for it to spin back. Heaven forbid you messed up the last digit, you'd have to start all over. These phones were solid and built to last, often in classic colors like avocado green or mustard yellow. They might seem cumbersome.
And a lot of them people remember the cords on them too, for some strange reason. You know, the telephone cord that was on them phones right there that you just seen. Yeah, they wasn't that name.
Today, but the distinctive clicking sound of dialing remains a hallmark of the era. 12. Light Bright.
Light bright.
This glowing masterpiece maker was pure joy for kids in the 70s. You'd place black paper over the light bright screen, insert colored plastic pegs, and watch your creation light up. Whether it was a pre-made design or something entirely original, it felt magical. The bright, colorful lights were mesmerizing, making it a toy that kept kids entertained for hours, and occasionally stepping on those tiny pegs barefoot was an unforgettable pain. 13. Metal lunchboxes.
Oh yeah,
Carrying
that
a
was,
metal
that was
lunchbox to
nice,
school
man.
wasn't just about your sandwich.
Yeah, you gotta have a tight one, you know what I mean? They got the Dukes of Hazzard. You could have a wrestling one. You could have Spidey, Batman, you know what I mean? You know, $6 Million Man. They had all kind of people, man. But yeah, you had to be, you was in when you had that. And that little thermos and stuff like that. It seemed like there was a lot of stuff in there. That lunch was probably worth a lot of money right now. I don't know why.
It was about showing off your personality. From Star Wars to the $6 Million Man, these sturdy boxes were adorned with characters, shows, or bands you loved. Inside, a matching thermos kept your drink warm or cold, and you felt invincible walking into the cafeteria with your favorite design. While they've since been replaced by softer options, these boxes are still treasured by collectors today. Food rings were the ultimate 70s accessory, marketed as a way to read your emotions. These rings changed color based on temperature, which supposedly reflected your mood. From blue for calm to amber for nervous, every kid was fascinated by the magic of the shifting colors. Whether or not the moods were accurate didn't matter. It was all about the Miss 15, the overhead projector. In class, the images onto the chalkboard, whether it was math problems or maps for geography lessons. Students watched in awe as the light bulb and magnifying lens brought lessons to life. Of course, the real fun was when the teacher let you come up and write on the transparency yourself. 16, disco balls. No party in the 70s was complete without a disco ball. Suspended from the ceiling, it cast sparkling light across the room as it rotated slowly, transforming any space into a mini dance club. Whether Saturday Night Fever soundtrack or simply enjoying the colorful reflections, the disco ball became an iconic symbol of the decade's nightlife and fun-loving spirit. Gym class in the 70s often meant one thing: dodgeball. With rubber balls flying across the room, the game was a mix of adrenaline, skill, and occasional terror. Getting hit squarely in the face stung like crazy, but it was all part of the fun. There were no foam balls or extra safety measures, just the thrill of dodging and the satisfaction of taking out your opponent with a well-aimed throw. 19. Stretch Armstrong.
Let's take a look at this real estate transaction settlement. A shop prop buyer bought this home for $2,700,000.
Waterbeds. Millions to the idea of playing games on a screen. The excitement of controlling that little dot back and forth felt revolutionary, even if today it seems laughably basic. 23. Milk in glass bottles. Whether delivered to your doorstep or served at school, milk in glass bottles was a staple of 1970s life. These bottles, often with a paper or foil cap, were reusable and made a satisfying clinking sound when handled. At school, kids drank from small glass bottles, and at home, many remember the sound of the milkman's truck as he made his rounds. 24. Earth shoes. Earth shoes were all the rage in the 1970s, thanks to their unique negative heel design that promised better posture and health benefits. They had a funky look, with the heel sitting lower than the toe, but that didn't stop them from becoming a fashion statement. While they've largely disappeared from closets today, anyone who wore them remembers their quirky charm and maybe the slight backache they left behind. 25. Happy Days. This hit TV show transported viewers back to the 1950s, but became a defining part of the 1970s. With Richie Cunningham, his wholesome family, and the effortless look of Fonzie. Happy Days was a cultural phenomenon.
What's happening?
It influenced everything from fashion to catchphrases and even spawned spin-offs like Laverne and Shirley. 26. Big Wheels.
Oh yeah, the big wheel. You had to be deep for big wheel.
Big Wheel Cobra with license plate.
The ultimate ride for kids in the 1970s, Big Wheels were low-to-the-ground tricycles with oversized front wheels. Kids raced them down sidewalks and driveways, performing dramatic spins with the handbrake. It was the closest you could get to being a race car driver at age 5. For many, the sight of a bright plastic big wheel is a one-way ticket to childhood nostalgia. No 1970s living room or bedroom was complete without a beanbag chair. These squishy, oversized sacks of fabric were a cozy spot to lounge, watch TV, or read a book. They came in bright, funky colors, perfectly matching the era's psychedelic aesthetic. While they occasionally leaked tiny beads, they were a defining part of relaxed 70s decor. Before cassettes and CDs, there were 8 tracks, the clunky plastic cartridges that delivered music on the go. Whether you were rocking out to Fleetwood Mac in your car or blasting Elton John on your home player, 8 tracks were everywhere in the 1970s. They weren't perfect. Songs often cut off mid-track, but they paved the way for the music portability we take for granted today. Polaroid cameras. Instant photography was a revolution in the 1970s, and Polaroid cameras made it happen. Snap a photo, wait a minute, and watch the image develop right before your eyes. It was perfect for capturing family moments, vacations, or goofy candid shots. The chunky cameras and glossy prints became a hallmark of the decade, and Polaroids still evoke a sense of instant nostalgia. 30. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Scooby-Dooby
This
Doo.
iconic cartoon
What I
followed a
do.
group of mystery-solving teens and their lovable Great Dane,
Mhm.
Scooby-Doo. With its spooky settings, memorable villains, and unforgettable catchphrases, Roo-Row Raggy. The show was a Saturday morning favorite. Scooby Snacks, The Mystery Machine, and 31. Vinyl records. In the 1970s, vinyl records weren't just a way to listen to music. They were an experience. From flipping through albums at the record store to carefully placing the needle on the turntable, every step was part of the ritual. The crackle of the record starting up and shoes weren't just footwear. They were a statement. Whether worn at the disco or out on the street, these towering shoes added inches to your height and style to your outfit. From glittery designs to bold colors, platforms were the perfect match for bell-bottoms and jumpsuits. Just walking in them without toppling over was an achievement. 35. Macrame. Macrame was everywhere in the 1970s. From plant holders to wall hangings, this intricate knotting art was a staple of home decor. It brought a bohemian vibe to living rooms and bedrooms, often paired with shag carpets and earthy tones. DIY kits made it easy for anyone to jump on the macrame trend, and many did. 36. The Partridge Family. This musical TV family captured the hearts of viewers in the 1970s. Traveling in their colorful patchwork-painted bus, they performed catchy songs like I Think I Love You while dealing with everyday family antics. David Cassidy became a teenage heartthrob, and Shirley Jones's motherly charm made the show a classic. 37. Charlie's Angels. This glamorous trio of crime-fighting women defined girl power in the 1970s. Whether it was Farrah Fawcett's iconic feathered hair or the Angels' knack for solving mysteries in style, the show was a pop culture sensation. With a mix of action, intrigue, and fashion, Charlie's Angels inspired countless kids to play detective. 38. Film strips. In classrooms of the 1970s, film strips were the peak of educational technology. Teachers loaded the projector, dimmed the lights, and clicked through a series of still images while a narrator explained the topic. The familiar beep signaled when it was time to advance to the next frame. While they might seem low-tech today, watching film strips felt exciting back then. 39. The Muppet Show. The Muppet Show brought Jim Henson's lovable puppets into prime time. Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Fozzie Bear, and the gang entertained audiences with a mix of comedy, music, and guest stars. Whether you were laughing at the antics of Statler and Waldorf or humming along to Mahana Mana, the show was pure joy. 40. Clocks with flip numbers. Inside Wisconsin's largest scratch and sniff department, found exclusively at Appliance World. In the 1970s, flip clocks were a futuristic addition to any bedside.
What do they use now? They use digital. So if you told these kids nowadays how to tell time, like, you know, with the hand, the big hand, the little hand, and the second hand, I don't think they would be able to tell you what time it was by looking at it like that, because they never seen a second hand, they never seen a big hand or a little hand. So how could they tell you what time it was? If the big hand is on the 6 and the little hand is on the 6 and the second hand is on the 3, then what time is it?
Instead of hands on a dial, these clocks had mechanical flaps that flipped over to display the time. The soft click as the numbers changed was oddly satisfying, and their modern look made them a favorite of the era's design trends. 41. Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Oh yeah, that was the one right there. Yeah, and the commercial was in black and white too. That's crazy. Yeah, they had the Rock'em Sock'em Robots. His head would pop up and jump up out in the sky.
These plastic battling robots were a 1970s must-have. Kids spent hours controlling the red and blue fighters, aiming to knock each other's block off. Literally, the satisfying pop when you landed a punch and sent your opponent's head springing up was the ultimate victory. Simple but endlessly entertaining, these robots became a staple of family game nights. 42. Black and white TV. Many households still had trusty black and white sets. Watching shows like The Andy Griffith Show or old movie reruns in grayscale had its charm. Adjusting the antenna or fiddling with the dials to get a clearer picture was part of the experience. It may seem ancient now, but these TVs held a special place in living rooms everywhere. 43 tube tops. Tube tops were a summer staple in the 1970s. These stretchy, strapless tops were bold, fun, and perfect for staying cool. They came in bright colors and patterns, often paired with high-waisted shorts or bell-bottoms. While they required a bit of confidence to wear, they embodied the carefree spirit of the decade. 45 Scooby Snacks. Inspired by the beloved cartoon Scooby-Doo, Scooby Snacks weren't just for dogs. They became a real-life snack for kids, too. Whether you tried a box of the graham cracker versions or simply loved imagining what Scooby and Shaggy were eating, these treats were a quirky part of childhood in the 70s. And yes, many kids tried dog biscuits just to see what all the fuss was about. 46 Handwritten Notes. Before texts and emails, kids passed handwritten notes in class. Folded into intricate shapes, these notes carried everything from secret crush confessions to inside jokes. The act of passing a note without getting caught by the teacher was an art form. Receiving one was always exciting, and reading it felt like being part of a secret world. 47 Lava Lamps. Lava lamps were the epitome of groovy decor in the 1970s. Colorful blobs of wax floating in a liquid-filled glass tube created a mesmerizing effect. Perfect for bedrooms or living rooms, these psychedelic lamps added ambiance and were a staple of the era's funky aesthetic. Watching.
All right, man. You know, we wind the tape back. We went to the 1900s, man, to show some souvenirs, some antiques, to share a little history with y'all. The things that you see that you don't recognize, ask someone, and maybe they might be able to identify them for you. But in the meantime, in between time, you see this key pattern that's on this phone here? That's never changed. The 19 and the 26 alphabets. So do your math and know that history tell time, time tell history. Numbers are letters. Numbers are letters, and letters are numbers. Put them together and see what you come up with.